They made a big trade here today. I'm still waiting for the official details. Maybe you can help us out here. It's Mike Straw joining us here. Mike, how you doing, buddy?
I don't know how I'm doing.
I know. This trade kind of came out of nowhere, right? Like this. So what do we know now? What is the official trade? Maybe you guys can help me out here because I just got back. But my understanding was Josh Norris is it Cozens? Who went the other way?
Yeah, so far nothing's official yet, but it looks like it's Cozens and a pick. No one knows the pick yet, which is going to be a big deal to Ottawa for Josh Norris and Jacob Bernard Docker.
Okay. Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yeah,
so well, let's just get some immediate reaction from someone on the Buffalo sides of things. We know Dylan Cozens has been on the block for a little while. Do you like this? I think this is probably a good move, other than obviously the injury concern for Josh Norris.
It's kind of, and a buddy of mine posted it, and it was the same thought I had in my mind. You know the Spider-Man meme where they're pointing at each other?
Of course, yeah.
That is kind of where I equate at this point in what's going on, Norris and Cozens. Cozens has fallen off entirely. Like, he got pummeled in a fight like a year and a half ago. And since he got it basically, I think, shattered whatever confidence he had at that point, because up to that point, he was Mr. Do everything for the Sabres and really seemed to be what was going to be a big part of that core. And ever since then, it just fell off. And Norris, on the other hand, just can't stay healthy. So we're looking at two players that have just fallen in ways that they aren't earning the big contracts they were signed to. Neither of them. One is more, you're injured. There's nothing. Can you really do anything about it? And the other is just, you can't get out of your own way. So it seems to me it's one of those pure, we need a change of scenery for both players and hope it works out for both teams. I'm much more confident in Cozens figuring it out than I am in Norris, solely because, availability is the best ability a player has. If Norris can't be healthy, then it's all a moot point, especially now you're paying Norris more than what you were paying Cozens.
What about the term, obviously, because Norris, I think he's up. Is he RFA or what's? I was trying to remember his contract. I don't have it here off the top of my head, but he doesn't have as much term as Cozens does, right? I think that's the key thing here.
It's the same. They both have 5 years. Norris got extended. Okay. Norris signed a couple years ago an 8-year, I think just under $64 million contract. So he's at like 7.9, where Cozens is at 7.1. JBD is an RFA after this year, who's also currently out injured on long-term IR with Ottawa. So he's coming in. Maybe he plays this year, probably not, but you're looking at a guy who's an RFA that the Sabres are going to maybe sign. Well, there we go. Wow. Yeah. Now I'm more mad.
Okay, there we go. This is why we're doing this. I want to get full reaction. Okay, so it looks like, and again, this is from Ryan Ledger. This is just one account I found. I actually don't follow him, but I'm just seeing what he apparently. We'll see if this is actually, by the way, something to keep in mind for today. There's a lot of fake accounts here, so let's make sure that this is 100% official. I'll wait till one of the big guys actually, puts this out there. But it looks like Cozens, Gilbert, second-round pick, and actually, we got my buddy Adam coming on here too. Adam, you can chime in as well. We're talking just quickly about this Dylan Cozens trade here. But yeah, so it looks like Cozens, Gilbert, second-round pick for Norris and Jacob Bernard Docker. But I want to get Mike's reaction to this here quickly. Why is this worse in your opinion? I want to hear it because of the pick as well.
So the pick, I don't like it being a second round pick. Granted, it's not this year's draft, it's next year's. I don't like that at all. The Gilbert position, this might come from a little bias because I've followed Dennis Gilbert since he was in high school when I worked for a local paper. He's a local kid. When I worked for the local weekly newspaper, he was a player at the high school that I covered, so I saw him regularly, both on the ice and on the football field where he played. But Gilbert was a player that whenever he was in the lineup, Buffalo always talks about, we need players that are tough to play against. Gilbert was that player for them. He was one of the tougher defensemen for the Sabres to play against. And Ottawa need the same thing. A lot of the talk this morning was, especially from people around the Senators, was they felt Norris and JBD just weren't hard enough to play against. I don't know. They're getting that in Cozens. They might. Maybe they reignite that fire that really showed from 3-4 years ago. But Gilbert is that. The pick thing, I don't like the idea. If you're giving up more assets when you're trading away a core piece of your team who has fallen off a bit, I don't know. I just don't. Cadman Adams is clearly being taken advantage of by a lot of teams in the NHL right now because the Sabres are a train wreck. And this is kind of just proving that point, in my opinion.
And the timing on this is perfect because I got my buddy Andrew Stein from the Hockey News, who's an Ottawa guy, now going to get the Ottawa side of this thing. It looks like we've got more details on the trade here, Andrew. It looks like Cozens, Gilbert, second-round pick, going for Norris and Jacob Bernard Docker. Your thoughts on the trade from an Ottawa perspective? Oh, we don't have any audio, unfortunately, from Andrew, but he'll work on it here. But now we got him. Now we got him. What's up? Oh, still don't have him. What's going on with the audio? You guys can't hear him either, right? I can't hear him.
No.
So we'll figure it out. You just got to go to your gear, and then once you go to your gear, you go to the audio, and then it should show your audio levels there for some reason. But we'll get Andrew's reaction in a second. We had that so perfectly, so it's all good. We'll get it now. Andrew, are you good? Or are you still working on it? No. Okay, 1 second. Yeah, we'll wait on it. But yeah. So I mean, this looks like a lateral
speechless.
He's
absolutely speechless.
Yeah, exactly. As we're sort of getting all this in. One other thing I'll ask you quickly while I got you here, Mike, as well.
You got me?
I'm not going to keep you too long. Yeah, we got you now. Andrew Stein, the great Andrew Stein of the Hockey News. Let us know your thoughts on this trade.
Well, first off, I've got my Norris jersey in the back with the Buffalo Sabres hat that I picked up at a Buffalo game. I always have to pick up a hat whenever I go see another team.
Of course. You're like me. Yeah.
Before I go on, is my mic too hot?
You're good. Can hear you great.
My initial thoughts are I'm actually quite interested what they're going to do with the $2 million in cap space they're gaining, because Cozens makes almost $1 million less than Norris. Jacob Bernard Docker's right just under $1 million there, and they have $850,000 in cap space, which might mean a Ryan Donato or perhaps a Brandon Tanev. There's a little more wiggle room to add here. So by the trade deadline, my opinions might be invalidated. But for what I did over here, I do think that Norris has been oft injured, but still's got a real nice ceiling to him. He's still young. We've seen players in the past recover from these kind of shoulder ailments to have very strong careers. My immediate concern from an Ottawa perspective is upsetting the apple cart. Ottawa just didn't have Norris in the lineup for 5 games, and they lost all 5. 2 against Tampa, 1 against Florida. Norris and Brady Tkachuk are childhood friends, so it takes a lot of chutzpah to make a move like this when you're literally 1 point up on a wild card spot and haven't made the playoffs in 7 years, right? You're making that big adjustment to what players how are the players going to feel about that, right? And with something else coming back the other way, they're both former 30-goal scorers who are not having anywhere near point per game seasons. So hopefully the team reacts well. That's the biggest concern from an Ottawa perspective, I would think.
Yeah, I can say this. Sorry.
No,
James.
go ahead.
I can say this on the Cozens side. They will fall in love with him as a person from a teammate perspective. I don't see that being an issue whatsoever. I think they might be the sting of losing Norris as a friend. Sure. Cozens will come in and will endear himself to the team, whether he endears himself to the fans. If you get the last 18 months, Dylan Cozens, you'll want him out of town by the end of the season. If you get the 2 years prior to that, you'll be wondering why the Sabres were not making the playoffs at all. Because granted, this is how bad it's been in Buffalo. Our highlight is missing the playoffs 2 years ago by 1 point. During that season, Cozens was just shining. Him and Thompson just looked like there's your core. There's your top 2 centers for the next 10 years. And so you know it's there. It's just, can they get it out of him? And maybe having a teammate like a Brady Tkachuk, who's very just the type of player the Sabres wanted Cozens to be, I think could actually benefit him in the long run. As a Sabres fan, it sucks, but I get why the move was done. But if I'm the Sabres, like I'm dealing everyone. Like I'm also in that point. There's no one off on the untouchable list. Like if a team calls me for Rasmus Dahlin today, sure, make an offer. Like the core has been the core, and you say Ottawa hasn't made it in 7 years. Double that There we go. Like,
Yeah.
I just can't. Like, no one's untouchable.
Okay, that brings me just quickly. I wanted to get into this, and this does kind of tie to what Buffalo's doing today. I did see they re-signed Jason Zucker, 2 years, 4.75. Do you like this move, Mike? Obviously, you don't want to get rid of everyone. Look what's going on in Chicago right now. Bedard's having a terrible season. They're trying to put people together, and it's not really working out. But also, you want to get the most value you can at this time of year. What are your thoughts on Zucker re-signing?
Absolutely love it. I was calling for it. They signed him to a 1 year, $5 million deal last year. And my thought at that time was it should have been longer. Mm-hmm. And about a month into the season, my thought was they need to make sure he doesn't leave. The fact they got him less cap per year than what they had him for this year is kind of surprising. I would expect him to go, you know what, you're bad. And his agent try and take advantage of it. But he's become a well-respected player in that in the organization, and to be honest, it wouldn't surprise me. It's only a 2-year deal, but I honestly think this is a player that if things finally turn around in Buffalo, he's just going to keep signing these 2-year deals and remaining. He's just fit in perfectly and found like he looks like a young Jason Zucker again, to where he's putting up the numbers. He is reliable. The team looks terrible when he's not on the ice. Granted, they look terrible when he is on the ice, but that's just everybody else. But he's a perfect fit for what they need. So it's one of those. I'm happy they did it. They extended Greenway a couple days ago. I
saw that. I love Jordan Greenway. I was like, damn it, because that's a guy I'd like to see in Vancouver, or see. That I think was a very good pickup for you guys a couple seasons back. Getting him, I really like him a lot.
A good deal, yes, but I think he's not a player you continue to keep around when you're trying to find an answer to turn things around. He is if he was if he was a player that was in part of the deal to Ottawa or sent to Vancouver or a team fighting for a playoff spot and getting into the playoffs, that's a perfect player, not a team that is at the bottom of the league type of signing.
Andrew, you had something you were going to say. We'll get to that. And then I want to get a last sort of Buffalo thing from here, Mike, and then we'll kind of go beyond this. But Andrew, what were you going to say before Mike went on his thing?
I was going to mention Jacob Bernard-Docker and how the Buffalo fans feel about that one. Funny story about Bernard-Docker is Ottawa traded down to get 2 picks, and the pick they traded became K'Andre Miller on the Rangers. So he was sitting right there. They moved 4 picks down. They picked Jacob Bernard-Docker. He had a stellar World Juniors, and he just hasn't been able to stick in Ottawa. But he's kind of one of those jack of all trades defensemen that I've noticed. Like, he can move the puck okay, but Erik Karlsson, he ain't, right? He can defend okay, but Chris Pronger, he isn't, right? Just one of those tweener guys. And the unfortunate thing for him is I don't think he's been able to outplay Travis Hamonic of all people this year, right? So I think that's somebody that Buffalo could really benefit from giving a fresh opportunity to, maybe a little chip on his shoulder. I was wondering Mike's thoughts on that throw in there.
The defense is the worst defense in the NHL. So anything that can try and improve it, I think is necessary. I don't like the idea of trading for someone who's not going to likely play for your team this year.
Yeah.
When he's an RFA. So you are going to have to extend a player that you know nothing about on your lineup. And that's, I think that's what's holding me. Maybe they get lucky and they can bring him back somehow and they can put him on a conditioning stint in Rochester, which that would be great because if there's anything going well in the organization, the Sabres AHL affiliate is the #1 team in the AHL right now. They are cruising. Devin Levi, the hopeful goalie of the future, is playing at MVP levels for the AHL right now. So maybe they can put him down there, show him, get him, comfortable enough. And then you see kind of what you might get next year. But the idea of trading for someone you won't get to see mesh with an Owen Power or Dahlin or anything like that is kind of, it confuses me, especially for what you ended up giving up.
Well, he is a right-hander, so that slots into the lineup a little better. But how does a defense that has Byram, Dahlin, and Power rank as the worst? And I know the answer to that question because last year Ottawa had Sanderson, Shabbat, and Chychrun, and there was just no mesh there at all. Chychrun was like a -30. He's killing it in Washington this year, and so sometimes it's just fit, right? But I was wondering how does that happen, right? Like
too much offense on the defense. That's basically what it comes down to.
That's
Owen
fair.
Power cannot play in front of his own net. He needs somebody to bail him out time and time again, and the Sabres don't have that. Matthias Samuelsson was supposed to be that, but he is as made of glass as anybody in the league has been the last couple of years. So it's, if they can get somebody to pair with a Power or a Byram, then they're good. Dahlin can do it all. Dahlin, you put anybody with him. Dahlin is just here. But
maybe JBD blossoms as that guy. He was a first round pick within 5 years ago. So
yeah, that's obviously what they're hoping for. It's just, will it? Who knows? I don't think the Sabres are done though. I know they're trying to move on Henry Jokiharju. They're getting a lot of calls on Alex Tuck, who they believed was going to be the core, but man, has the Eichel trade ever backfired for the Sabres? But I think the Sabres aren't done in trying to make some sort of move. They're not going to just sell. I think they're trying to make one more hockey trade today.